Manager of Linux Foundation Europe.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. You made it officially to day 3. How are you feeling today? I'm starting to run out of voice. How about you? Yeah. I hope you had a first great 2 days. Two first great days. We have some pretty cool thing in store again for today. But before we get started, I want to share with you a few more housekeeping items. Today, we're going to have speed mentoring at 11 a.m. It's in the 7th floor foyer. And basically, there is still space to join as a mentee. You should visit the info desk if you want to sign up. And then during the morning break at 10:30, we're going to have the third part and final part of our Ask the Expert sessions. Make sure you don't miss the opportunity to connect and grow as part of the community. So with that, we are going to kick off a pretty interesting last day, I hope. I'll just bring up the themes that we've been developing for the last 3 days. And as I promised yesterday, there's going to be more talk about open source and AI, kind of a hot topic of the week. As Jim said yesterday, and you probably remember this article by now, you probably have seen it like 10 times throughout this week. Open source is truly making an impact on AI. I will say open source is eating AI, and it's really making sure that AI is democratized and is accessible and, openly governed. And so on this note, I want to start with the first guest speaker of the day. Is one of our executive directors at the Linux Foundation. It's a good friend, Ibrahim Haddad, runs AI and data at the Linux Foundation, LFAI and data. Ibrahim, please come on stage.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a great conference. I'm here today to talk a little bit about some of the announcements we have for LFAI and data with respect to open source AI. And before I get into the 3 major announcements we're sharing with you today, I would like to give you kind of a brief overview about the efforts we've been doing for the past 4.5 years in the LF with respect to AI and open source AI and data. So we started our journey with LFAI and data about 5 years ago, and we grew from 9 participating companies to 63 member companies today that are supporting our mission of accelerating the development of open source AI. We started with 1 single hosted project, and we grew today to 55 hosted projects. Some of them are not announced yet. We have active committees focused on data ops, ML security, and we're launching a new efforts that I will share with you today. And we have over 650 organizations contributing code across all of our projects. So across all these various metrics you see on the screen, it's been really a phenomenal progress and building momentum in terms of open source AI as part of our efforts. And I mentioned that we housed 55 projects. I think the screen shows 54 because we have 1 incoming, not counted yet. And we're adding 1 new project every month into our portfolio of projects. And it's been amazing to see that where we started to a point where we are today, any given company who would like to build a machine learning workflow can actually base their workflow on hosted projects in LFAI and data, all of which are building blocks that enables company to build that end-to-end workflow using foundation hosted projects. And all of these projects are coming from these companies that you see on the screen. So if you're part of these companies, I actually would like to thank you for your trust in hosting and transferring your projects to the foundation and benefiting from the various enabling support that we provide for these communities to help grow these projects and make them become de facto standards within their own categories. So the first announcement for today is new members in LFAI and data. So I'm very pleased to announce that Intel, IBM, and AWS have joined us at the board level, premier level. Actually, all of them host projects with us as well. And we have 4 new general members that joined us: Fujitsu, Ant Group, New Relic, and Cloud Geometry. And I think I would like to give here a special shout out to Fujitsu, since they're also hosting 2 projects with us, Sapient ML and Intersectional Fairness. So if you're interested in AutoML and AI fairness, we actually have 2 booths for these projects in the exhibition hall that you can check out. So welcome to our new members, and looking forward to working with you today. The second announcement that I have today is launching a new initiative that we're calling the Generative AI Commons. This is really a natural fit for the work we do in LFAI and data, and a lot of our members felt the need to launch an effort that caters for this specific space, where we're able to bring in organizations to collaborate together in an open, transparent governance, to collaborate on co-creating technologies in this space. So we are launching this effort formally today. However, we've started this effort about a month and a half ago with over 25 organizations that are participating in it. And we have formulated the mission statement that you see on the screen, and also agreed on 5 initial work streams. So one work stream will be focusing on LLM architectures and creating open source projects to implement these different architecture with specific focus on security, privacy, and trusted AI. We have 2 work streams, one focused on data and another focused on models. They're kind of similar in what's going to happen within these 2 work streams in terms of creating models, foundational models, hosting models in the foundation, and supporting tools that enable the creation of these models and integration with apps. The second one, or the third one, is the data-centric, which focuses on bringing in and hosting open source data sets and make them available for the wider audience to use for their training purposes, and hosting any data-related tools that help with annotation, sorting, labeling, etc. A variety of supporting tools specific to data. And then we have 2 additional work streams. One is focused on education, knowledge sharing, best practices, especially in light of recent legislation. So we would like to make open source and AI more awareness around this topic, especially for people putting out legislations. And the 5th work stream is an openness framework that aims to rate models based on the licenses of their various elements. A lot of organizations may be releasing models claiming they're open source, and as you look more into the licensing, they're not quite there. So this framework will help us rate the model openness based on the licenses of their various elements. So there's actually quite a bit of work, and I would like to invite everyone here to participate. This is actually an open effort. Anybody in this audience, whether you're a member of the foundation or not, can go sign up to the mailing list, sign up to show up to the conference calls that we have every 2 weeks, and be part of this effort. And the third announcement is basically welcoming a new effort into LFAI and data. So we're very excited to welcome Rakov into the LF as an incubation project in LFAI and data, part of our generative AI effort. So Rakov started as a Luther AI community project and grew under the leadership of Bo Pang to encompass a lot of developers and a massive ecosystem around it of over 220 projects on GitHub that are related to this project. And it's also very important here to note the effort of Stability AI, which donated the compute time for training the project. So there has been a lot of people involved in this project. It's very popular. As you can see on the screen, there's almost 10,000 GitHub stars on it. So Rakov is basically a recurrent neural network that offers amazing performance, a lot of opportunities for optimization, and basically doesn't offer the burden of memory use. So it offers really a massive amount of benefits, and that you can see that in the Roku forward model, which after training today on publicly available data sets supports over 100 languages. And I've actually tried it last night where I went and there's a live instance of it. The link is available on GitHub. And I went to Google Translate, I did some query, translated to Chinese, picked up the Chinese translation, dropped it, and it works awesomely. So we're very happy to have this project be our first anchor generative AI project, and looking forward to work with the community to test the boundaries of how far we can go with this, but also to be a first of many to come as we're working with various organizations that are interested in hosting their generative AI technologies as part of LFAI and data, now that we've expanded our scope. So three very interesting announcements from AI and data showcasing the growth of the foundation, showcasing additional focused AI companies joining the Umbrella Foundation, and also new efforts being hosted and launching as a community effort. And lastly here, since I only have 5 minutes, I would like to mention to you a new effort in terms of research. So we are collaborating as LFAI and data with LF Research, our research organization producing all these amazing reports, to create a research focused on generative AI and understanding the market, how generative AI is being used, where it's being used, for what purposes. So I would like to invite you all to participate in this survey. You can scan the QR code or just visit the website, and it's going to take no more than 3 minutes of your time. It will help us guide the research we're doing, and all the results of the research will be made publicly as soon as we announce the paper. So thank you very much for your time today and allowing me to share some of our exciting news. I will be available for the rest of the day at the event, so if you'd like to talk about any of these, if you'd like to chat about hosting your projects with us, please find me and grab me, and I'm happy to discuss with you. Thank you very much.
Ibrahim, thank you so much. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Well, some pretty exciting stuff. What do you guys think? Are you excited about it? I'm really excited because as both as I work in LF Europe and in FINOS, a lot of the companies and individuals that I work with have asked me about, is the LF going to do anything about sort of openly governed models in AI. So we're really excited about it. And as Jim was discussing yesterday, this is a pretty new area when it comes to actually what even means open source AI or even openly governed AI. So we'll have more news announcements and keynote speakers, partly on AI and other topics in a few minutes. And I promise this is the last time you're going to hear for more than 5 minutes from me, but I just want to give you a quick update on LF Europe. We, throughout the week, a lot of people ask me, what is LF Europe about? It was launched last year. We have, I think we're 371 days old at this point. We launched in Dublin in Open Source Summit Europe in 2022. And it's been a pretty wild ride. As I was putting the slides together, I showed you this the other day. We've already reached 150 members, and so a huge thank you to everyone in the room, just both the community and our members that allows to support the growth of open source in Europe, and again, beyond. We think as LF Europe as an entry point for the global collaboration that the Linux Foundation enables. In fact, our tagline is collaborate locally, innovate globally. Since I tend to talk a lot, I figured that in order to fit our update in a couple of minutes, we'd better off showing you a quick video about what we've done last year.
And today we're announcing a new structure at the Linux Foundation.
I'm Gabriele Columbro, nice to meet you.
The establishment of LF Europe is really valuable because when we communicate with policymakers and public sector officials, we encounter a lot of misconception about open source and just a lack of knowledge, really.
The bottom line is that professionally, I'm worried about the impacts on open source, and personally, as an Italian citizen, just more broadly about the thriving European technology ecosystem, which so much relies on open source.
What's exciting for us with the Open Wallet initiative is really codifying, I suppose, open source ethos and development.
So welcome everyone to this panel discussion where we will present Project Silva. It's a new initiative by the Linux Foundation's branch in Europe.
Hello everyone, I am excited to talk about RISC-V software ecosystem, Project Rise.
So Servo aims to be an independent web rendering engine that can be modular and can be used for embedded devices.
Thank you. Give yourself a huge round of applause. This would not have been possible without you. We've been really busy, but I think our projects are the best way to explain what LF Europe is about. Each of the projects really sort of embodies different aspects of why we created LF Europe. Aside from the end, Servo is a Rust-based web engine that actually has almost 20,000 stars on GitHub, so check it out. And it does provide optionality in the web engine world, obviously with a slant towards memory safety and using a pretty modern language like Rust. Rise is our sort of software ecosystem for the RISC-V specification, and so really showing how open collaboration is not just about software, but also open hardware and how the two can work, very well together. We talked about Silva. We talked a lot about vertical industries collaboration over the last 3 days. Silva is, collaboration between the largest telcos in Europe, and hopefully more and more beyond. Again, think about LF Europe as a springboard to start with European strong project, but truly being global. And then Open Wallet. I shouldn't have favorite children, but it's one of my favorites. If you remember, we announced the open source in public sector European report the last couple of days, and so these are a couple of primers. We hope you'll read it and download it, but one of the findings is really that, again, open source, especially in Europe, is seen as a strong driver for digital sovereignty. But the experts that we interviewed across the public and private sector and individual contributors truly feel that, and I thoroughly agree, that digital sovereignty doesn't mean techno-nationalism, doesn't mean balkanization of open source. We need to keep open source global. And so this is not about creating, LF Europe is not about creating a silo within the global community that we host. And I think Open Wallet is doing a particularly good job at this. On one hand, it delivers something that is so important for us as individuals. We keep our most sensitive information in wallets. This is not just about transactions, this is about our identity, this is about our credentials, this is about our potentially healthcare information. We have a report on this, and it's also very aligned with some of the goals of the European Union through the EUDI, the European Digital Identity. So it's really for us as individuals, but it's bringing together some of the largest international companies, even though the ones that have already digital wallets quite widespread available, as well as the public sector. I think bringing together the public and private sector for goals that are aligned with sort of consumer and users and individuals' benefit is really what LF Europe can really bring to the table, in addition to what already the Linux Foundation does. And so, if we look ahead, we talked a lot about in the last 3 days about sustainability and social impact. We hope to continue to foster more collaboration, again, across private and public sector and individuals to drive projects that have a major impact. We talked about vertical industries collaboration, and I think the third, you probably heard me a couple of times talking about the CRA in the last couple of days, and I think we as communities and foundations, we have a responsibility to better engage with the public sector and enable the public sector. A little bit of a spoiler again from our public sector report. Clearly, there are still challenges when it comes to European both sort of understanding of the value proposition of open source. I think the public sector is clear that consuming open source and using it from a transparency or reuse standpoint is clear, but there's much more to that to open source. And as well as procurement is folks are used to make or buy. When you consume open source, that's a different sort of mode of engagement for historically closed public sector organizations. And so, unsurprisingly, OSPOs are a great tool. And over the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of public sector OSPOs, both at EU level, at national level, at local and municipal level. I think the Czech OSPO is doing a great job. I think the EU OSPO is truly accelerating how the public sector engages in open source. And despite that, and this is, I think, a quite interesting graph from our other report, the World of Open Source Europe Spotlight that we released this week. While Europe is really on par or leads when it comes to use, contribution, it still lacks sort of compared to the other regions in terms of the prevalence of OSPOs, again, across public and private sector, and therefore how OSPOs can help driving the strategy of open source, again, in both private and public organizations. And so this is not LF Europe per se, but we are certainly trying to continue enabling and making sure that OSPOs can be more and more effective. You're probably familiar with the To-Do group, which is our initiative across the Linux Foundation to enable OSPOs to be effective both in consuming, contributing, and enabling their organization, the public sector, to engage in open source. And this is obviously something a little bit near and dear to my heart as I run FINOS. We are starting to actually go more and more into enabling also particular industries that have different requirements when it comes to engaging with open source. Obviously financial institutions are strongly regulated industries, and they have very different engagement models in terms of, and requirements in terms of security, compliance, auditing, and what actually a developer in a bank, for example, can do in the open from a regulatory standpoint. So I think actually this is very applicable to the public sector as well, but if you're interested, we call this open source readiness. At osr.finos.org, we have the experience from like 7 years of financial institutions trying to do open source better, and we're actually going to launch training and certification later this year to really make sure that they can sort of have a level playing field. And we think this is something that is very applicable, again, as I said, to the public sector. So as I wrap, most importantly, what can we do for you? As I said, we can, you're familiar with the Linux Foundation hosting projects. We talked a lot about open governance. That's fundamentally what a foundation can do, and LF Europe can host your project in Europe. LF Europe is incorporated in Brussels, and therefore, can help not only with, long-term sustainability through our membership model that you're familiar with, but also with grants, both at EU and national level. We participated to several Horizon grants this year since launching with quite good rate of success. So if you're interested, you can reach out at formation@linuxfoundation.eu. Again, membership is not needed. We host plenty of technical projects that are truly, whereby we provide simply open governance and a meritocratic governance to our projects. Secondly, we will continue engaging and enabling the open source, the European public sector. So we could use your help if you are involved or connected. We'd love to help, whether it's, again, national, municipal, or EU level. And then last but not least, of course, we would love your support. If you wanted to become a member, you see the URL there. And if you happen to be a member of the Linux Foundation already, this is free to join. And we'd love to have you as part of our membership. And with that, thank you so much for your support.